Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo versus Instax Mini 11. I'll look at the design and features of each camera and then also compare the print image quality between the cameras. The Instax Mini Evo is $200 and the Instax Mini 11 is $70. Right now this is the most expensive Instax Mini camera and this is the cheapest Instax Mini camera. Both cameras take the Fujifilm Instax Mini film. The Instax Mini film comes in lots of different varieties. The standard is color film with white borders, but you can also buy black and white film, which is called monochrome. You can also buy a color film with black borders, or this Instax Mini Rainbow film, which is a color film with borders of all different colors. There are also other varieties available, so check out the links below for all the different film options. So the cameras shoot the same type of film, but other than that, these cameras could not be more different. The Instax Mini Evo is a hybrid camera. So what that means is that it's a digital camera where you take pictures using the LCD screen just like your iPhone, and then you can print them out via the integrated printer inside the camera. The Instax Mini 11 is a fully analog camera with essentially no controls. You just turn on the camera and push the button. That's it. So it's super simple, but it still produces pretty nice prints. The Instax Mini Evo only comes in this color, which is the standard classic looking color scheme. The Instax Mini 11 comes in 5 different colors. Here I have the lilac purple, but also comes in sky blue, charcoal gray, blush pink, and ice white. Let's look at the design of the cameras. So from the front, you can see that each have a flash. The Mini 11 has a viewfinder. The Evo doesn't have a viewfinder because you use the LCD screen on the back to compose your pictures. Then here's a shutter button on each camera. They each have a selfie mirror, so selfie mirror here and selfie mirror here. And here is the on-off button for the Instax Mini Evo. To turn on the Instax Mini 11, you push this button right here. The lens pops out and now the camera is ready to shoot. On the front of the Instax Evo, around the lens, we have a selection dial that selects the different lens effects. From the top, we just have the film ejection slot. From this side, we have a dial that selects the different film effects. We also have a cold shoe where we can mount extra light. Here we have a button that resets all the different lens and film effects. And here we have an additional shutter button. So the Evo has 2 shutter buttons. The Mini only has 1 shutter button. I don't think that's that big of a deal. 1 shutter button is just fine. Then on the Evo here in the corner, we have the most satisfying feature of the camera. When you pull on the lever like this, the camera will print the picture. On the bottom of the camera, you can see that the Evo has a tripod mount, but the Instax Mini 11 doesn't have a tripod mount. From this side, nothing on the Instax Mini 11. Here under this flap, there is a SD card slot and a charging port on the Instax Mini Evo. From the back, they're the most different. The Evo has an LCD screen, then has a 4-way selector, menu OK button, and another 3 buttons. So like a back button, image preview button, and this plus button that controls the lens effects. On the back of the Instax Mini 11, we just have a film door. We can see if a film cartridge is inside or not. And then here we have a film counter. The Instax Mini Evo has an integrated battery that's charged via a micro USB port that's hidden underneath this flap. The Instax Mini 11 is run off 2 AA batteries. So I use the rechargeable analog batteries. Also, I like the IKEA batteries. Also, alkaline batteries will work just fine. I prefer the simplicity of AA batteries over rechargeable battery. The Mini Evo has lots of different options. It has 10 different lens effects. So it has normal, vignette, soft focus, blur, fisheye, color shift, light leak, mirror, that's kind of fun, double exposure, so you can take a picture first, like that, and then you'll get an overlay, and you can take a separate picture like this. There, and now you have a double exposure. You can play around with this to get lots of different cool shots. And then we have a half frame. So it's similar to double exposure. So half of a frame goes like this. And then we can take a picture of another camera right there. And then we have like a diptych here. You also have 10 different film effects. So normal, vivid, pale, canvas, which I think is kind of useless. Monochrome, that's really useful, that's like a black and white. Sepia, that's like an old timer look. Yellow, red, blue. I don't like these color ones too much. And the retro is really useful. That's like a really nice old-timey feel. It works really nicely with landscapes of like old towns. You also have some other useful options to control the exposure. So you can turn on and off of the flash. You also have a self timer. You can do plus and minus on the exposure, so plus or minus 2 stops. You can control the white balance, which is super useful, and you also have a macro mode. So overall, this camera gives you lots of different options, and you can play around with the settings until you get a picture that you really like. And that's in stark contrast to the Instax Mini 11, which is the simplest Instax camera, has no options almost whatsoever. So the only thing you can do is you can turn on the camera, and then you're ready to take pictures. And the only other selection that you have is that if your subject is closer than 2 feet to you, you can activate the selfie mode like this. So you pull out the lens, and now you can take pictures of subjects that are between 1 to 2 feet away from you. And if you want to turn off the selfie mode, you just push the lens back in, and then if you want to take some pictures again, now it's back to the normal mode. For the first example, I took a picture of a landscape. So in the Evo, I printed the picture in both modes, so the natural mode and also the ridge mode. In the ridge mode, the colors are a little bit more punchy, but I can see this gradation in colors in the sky, which does not look good. So I would prefer the natural mode on the Instax Evo. On the Mini, the mountains are clearly overexposed. That's a common problem with the analog Instax cameras. They just can't handle super bright landscapes. A lot of images of mountains with snow or on the beach will be blown out. You can fix this by putting something dark like sunglasses over the lens. I have a video up in the corner you can check out. But overall, this is a big limitation of the Instax Mini camera. Also, the details from the Evo are much sharper compared to the Mini 11. The Mini 11 doesn't have a landscape mode, so it has only like a fixed focus from 2 feet to infinity. If you want an analog camera that gives you sharper landscapes than the Instax Mini 11, check out the Instax Mini 90. For the second example, I took a picture of a street. I thought this would be a lot easier for the Mini 11 to handle, but it still looks like a much better fit for the Evo. So the Evo picture looks really good. It's perfectly exposed, there's lots of detail, it's not blown out at all. The Mini 11 picture is definitely blown out, it's overexposed. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't have any controls to lighten or darken the exposure, so this is kind of what you get from this camera. So the win is definitely for the Evo here. For the third example, I took a picture of my son inside a living room. So the living room was lit up with normal lights, so nothing super bright or super dark. The Mini 11 did a fantastic job balancing the flash amount with the background exposure. That's my favorite picture here. The Mini Evo in the automatic mode shows some really wacky white balance. It's like super red and orangey. It does not look good at all. So I saw it on the LCD screen that it wasn't looking good. So I changed the white balance to incandescent and it looks much better. But I would say the Mini 11 picture still looks much better than either of those Evo pictures. And for me, taking pictures of people inside is probably 50% of usage of the Instax cameras. So this is where the power of the Instax Mini 11 and its popularity really lies. Because generally I like to take Instax pictures of people. I don't really take pictures of landscapes with my Instax camera so much, because for landscapes I want more detail, so I use either my iPhone or my big cameras. But I use Instax a lot to take pictures of people. So I can take pictures of them and then give them the print, and that's the best part of the Instax experience, that you can take a picture and share the print right away, as opposed to taking a picture, printing it 2 weeks later, and then mailing it to them later. That definitely does not have as much charm. And for my last example, I took a picture of a street on Overcast day. So the Evo did a really good job with the exposure. It's nicely exposed. The sky is blown out, but I definitely would prefer that over the picture to be dark, so you can see the buildings are really nicely exposed. There was not much detail in the sky anyway, so we didn't lose much. The Mini 11 shows a much darker exposure. The sky is not as blown out, but we lose a lot of detail up the front. So both of these images kind of show you that the Instax film does not have as much dynamic range. So you feel a lot of difference between the light and dark areas. So here the foreground versus the sky, it's a big difference in brightness. One of them will either be blown out or the other one will be dark. So that's kind of limitation of the Instax film. You can't fit it all in. And here we can see again with the Instax Mini 11, the limitation for the landscapes is that it doesn't really have a setting for infinity focus. So your landscapes are not gonna be like crystal clear as they would be with the Evo or the Instax Mini 90. So if you want to take a lot of pictures of landscapes, I would definitely recommend to get the Instax Mini 90. So which one of these cameras I would recommend? So the Instax Mini Evo is a super capable hybrid camera. If you don't mind the hybrid aspect of the Instax experience, I would definitely recommend the Evo. It will give you so much control over the quality of the print, and you can definitely play around with it quite a bit. The Instax Mini 11 is the cheapest Instax camera. It's fantastic for kids. It's super simple to operate. and it will give you really good image quality of inside shots and portraits. It's not great for landscapes. If you're planning to take a lot of landscape shots and you want an analog camera, I would definitely recommend the Instax Mini 90 over the Instax Mini 11. If you found this video useful, please consider subscribing. I already have over 50 Instax videos posted on my channel, so check them out if you want to learn how to use these cameras better for other tips and tricks. See you next time.